Do you ever feel like you're working hard, earning more than you used to, making smarter decisions with money? Yet somehow you still don't feel successful. You look around and see people driving luxury cars, posting vacation photos from exotic destinations, upgrading their homes, buying expensive gadgets, and it seems like everyone else is moving ahead while you're standing still. And because your life doesn't look flashy, you assume you're falling behind. But what if that's exactly what financial progress is supposed to look like? What if some of the strongest signs of financial success are so quiet that most people never recognize them? Because here's the truth: the people who look rich are not always getting richer. And the people who are actually building wealth often look surprisingly ordinary. Real wealth doesn't usually arrive with fireworks. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't show up with a giant celebration. Most of the time, wealth grows quietly in the background, while your life feels almost normal. And that's why so many people underestimate how far they've already come. In today's video, I'm going to show you 5 powerful signs that you're doing much better financially than you think. These are the hidden indicators that financial experts, investors, and self-made millionaires recognize immediately. And if you notice even a few of these signs in your own life, there's a good chance you're closer to financial freedom than you realize. Make sure you stay until the end, because sign number 5 is the one that separates people who stay comfortable from people who eventually build real wealth. Let's get started. Sign number 1. You no longer need to look successful. One of the biggest changes that happens when people start winning financially is something almost nobody talks about. They stop feeling the need to impress people. Think back to when you first started making money. Maybe you wanted everyone to notice. A nicer car, designer clothes, the newest phone, expensive restaurants, luxury vacations. There's nothing wrong with enjoying your money. But many people spend years trying to create the appearance of wealth instead of actually building it. And appearances are expensive. The moment you start becoming financially mature, something changes. You stop asking, "What will people think?" and start asking, "Is this worth it?" That's a completely different mindset. Instead of buying something because other people expect it, you buy things because they genuinely improve your life. Instead of chasing status, you start chasing freedom. You realize that the expensive car payment doesn't impress you nearly as much as a growing investment account. You realize that financial security feels better than social approval. You realize that sleeping peacefully at night is more valuable than receiving compliments from strangers. The truly wealthy understand something most people never learn. Status is temporary. Freedom is permanent. The expensive lifestyle might make you look successful, but financial freedom actually makes you successful. And if you've noticed yourself becoming less interested in impressing people and more interested in building your future, that's a powerful sign. You're thinking like a wealth builder, not a consumer. And that shift changes everything. Because wealth isn't built by looking rich. It's built by making decisions that allow you to become rich. Sign number 2, financial emergencies no longer feel like disasters. Let's be honest. Life is expensive. Cars break down. Medical bills appear unexpectedly. Appliances stop working. Unexpected expenses show up at the worst possible time. The difference between financial stress and financial stability isn't whether these problems happen. They happen to everyone. The difference is how you respond when they happen. Years ago, a surprise expense may have completely ruined your month. A $500 bill felt like a catastrophe. A car repair created panic. A medical expense meant weeks of stress. You might have needed to borrow money, use credit cards, delay other bills, or lose sleep worrying about how everything would work out. But now something has changed. The problem stays the size it actually is. A surprise expense is annoying, but it isn't devastating. You handle it. You recover. You move on. That may not sound exciting, but it's actually one of the clearest signs of financial progress. Because money isn't just about what you can buy. Money is about reducing vulnerability. It's about creating options. It's about giving yourself room to breathe. When you have savings, emergency funds, and financial stability, problems stop becoming crises. And that's incredibly powerful. Most people underestimate how much emotional energy financial insecurity consumes. The constant worry, the constant stress, the constant fear that one unexpected event could destroy everything. When that fear starts disappearing, your quality of life improves dramatically. You think more clearly, you make better decisions, you feel more confident, you stop living in survival mode. And that's not just financial progress, that's life progress. If emergencies no longer feel like disasters, you're doing better financially than you think. Sign number 3. You know where your money is going. One of the biggest differences between people who build wealth and people who struggle financially has nothing to do with income. It's awareness. Many people avoid looking at their finances. They don't track spending. They don't know how much they save. They don't know their net worth. They don't know where their money disappears every month. Why? Because ignorance feels comfortable. Looking at reality can be uncomfortable. But wealthy people do something different. They pay attention. Not because they're obsessed, because they're intentional. They know approximately how much they earn. They know approximately how much they spend. They understand their financial direction. And that awareness gives them power. Because you cannot improve what you refuse to measure. Imagine trying to lose weight without ever stepping on a scale. Imagine trying to improve your health without knowing what you eat. Imagine trying to grow a business without checking revenue. It wouldn't work. Money works the same way. The moment you start paying attention, patterns become visible. You notice waste. You notice opportunities. You notice habits. You notice progress. Suddenly, your finances stop feeling mysterious. You become the person in control. And here's what's important. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need spreadsheets for every dollar. You don't need complicated systems. You simply need awareness. Because awareness creates better decisions. Better decisions create better outcomes. And better outcomes create wealth. If you know your numbers, even roughly, that's a strong sign you're ahead of millions of people. Sign number 4. You can afford things you choose not to buy. This may be the most underrated sign of financial maturity. Anyone can say no when they can't afford something. That's easy. The real test is saying no when you can afford it. That's discipline. Imagine seeing something you want. A luxury watch, a new car, an upgraded apartment, the latest smartphone. You have the money. You could buy it today. Nobody would stop you. But instead of reacting emotionally, you pause. You think. You evaluate. You ask yourself, will this purchase actually improve my life? Will I still be happy with this 6 months from now? What am I giving up by spending this money? And sometimes the answer is no. Not because you're cheap, not because you're deprived, because you're intentional. This is one of the defining characteristics of wealthy people. They understand opportunity cost. Every dollar spent today is a dollar that can't work for your future. That doesn't mean never spending money. It means spending with purpose. The wealthy aren't afraid to buy things. They're simply selective. They don't let every desire become a purchase. They create space between wanting and buying. And in that space, smart decisions happen. Most people believe financial freedom comes from earning more, but often it comes from needing less, because every unnecessary expense delays freedom. Every intentional decision accelerates it. If you've started saying no to purchases that don't align with your goals, even when you could afford them, you are demonstrating a level of discipline that many people never develop. And discipline compounds just like money. Sign number 5. Your savings are growing faster than your lifestyle. This is the sign that separates future wealth builders from everyone else. Most people think making more money automatically creates wealth. It doesn't. In fact, many high-income earners live paycheck to paycheck. Why? Because every raise becomes an excuse for higher spending. This is called lifestyle inflation. The bigger paycheck arrives, the bigger apartment follows. The nicer car follows. The expensive subscriptions follow. The luxury habits follow. And before long, the extra income has disappeared. Nothing changes. The paycheck gets bigger. But financial freedom doesn't. Wealth builders do something different. When their income increases, their savings increase too. Maybe not all of it, but enough of it. Instead of spending every raise, they invest part of it. Instead of upgrading everything immediately, they strengthen their future. Over time, this creates an incredible gap. The gap between what you earn and what you spend. That gap is where wealth is born. That gap funds investments. That gap funds opportunities. That gap creates security. That gap eventually creates freedom. And here's the beautiful part. The process often feels slow in the beginning, but eventually it starts accelerating. Your investments begin generating returns. Those returns generate more returns. Your money starts working alongside you. Then one day you realize something.